it's Reija and welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be sharing with you my favorite reads of 2021. So what I would consider the best books of 2021 that I read. Now, I read a bunch of books in 2021, but to be honest, to try and compile a list of favorites turned out to be a little bit difficult because apparently there was slim pickings when it came to like 5-star and even 4.5-star books. So here are 5 books that after consideration and lots of thinking I would consider to be the standouts of my reading year. So without further ado, let's get started. I'm going to go through these 5 books in no particular order, so these are not ranked. I will just talk of them as they come into my mind. Starting with Amatka by Karin Tidbeck. This is a science fiction sort of dystopian novel that is written by a Swedish author, and it is basically this seeming utopia where people have to live in these communes, these communities, closed communities, and in order to exist in this dimension that they're living in, each item that they use has to be imbued with meaning in a regular basis. So, for example, a pen can change into something sinister if it's not told regularly that it's a pen. And it's all about what happens when a person comes into this community that thinks differently and has different experiences and doesn't fit the norms of that community. And I thought that it was really excellent. The ending was a little bit like I expected a little more. I wanted it to, pack some more punch. I wanted the book to be a little bit longer, but this is definitely something that I would recommend going forward to people because this was such an exciting read. And once I started, I could not put it down, so that's why it is one of my favorite reads of 2021. Then another read that I have been gushing about all year on my channel is The Black Sun by Rebecca Roanhorse. I have been talking about this book constantly in different settings, wrap-ups, tag videos, live shows. Like if I have an excuse, I will bring it up. I thought that the characterization of these different point of view characters was great. I thought that each of them was very different, and I am very eager to see how their trajectories and arcs continue to develop in the upcoming books. And I don't know, there was also something very sort of anime-esque about this book when it comes to, like, for example, Serapio's training montages and like flashback scenes to his youth and stuff, and also the a character that is introduced later on in the book, which is like Narampa's like relative. He was very much that sort of gangster type character that I have seen in many anime series and mangas. So yeah, I was very happy about that character. And this world is just something that I have never really seen before and read about before. So yeah, I was thoroughly entertained with this book. And some non-fiction into the middle of this list is Fearing the Black Body by Sabrina Strings, which is all about the history of fat phobia, how fat phobia and the stereotypes of fat people and fatness and how and like beauty stereotypes that we have nowadays they have sort of like a racialized and racist xenophobic origin, and it goes through a lot of like depictions in art and literature, and also like how the science of eugenics developed because of these belief systems and stuff, and how also religion played a huge role in it. And it was just a very interesting non-fiction book The audio narration is very good. I listened to it on audio, but I would actually also want to read the physical book, because I know that there's a lot of pictures and like footnotes and source lists and stuff in the physical book that don't get brought over to the audio version. But this was one of the standout nonfiction books for me last year, and I definitely think that if you are someone who has a sort of like minimized timeline of the existence of Black people in Europe, you should read this book, because it will probably teach you a lot of new things. Like, for example, the fact that Black people were in Central Europe and like France, Portugal, Spain, Italy, Netherlands in like 13th and 14th century already, because, you know, slave trade. And even prior to that, because of like diplomacy and stuff. So, you know, it kind of breaks open this false myth that the transatlantic slave trade only lasted a little bit of our history, instead of actually centuries upon centuries. So yeah, definitely recommend this book. And then for a little bit of chapter work, When the Tiger Came Down the Mountain by Nivo. I loved this novella so much. It is all about like storytelling. It is about what I deem version control, all about like different people have different versions of the same story, and who gets to tell stories and how stories get preserved. And it's also kind of like a high stakes moment, because it kind of reminds me of the 1001 Nights where Sherazade is telling the story to postpone her execution. And here is the kind of the same, that the cleric Chi is telling this story and going back and forth with the tigers in order to prevent the tigers from eating them. And it was such a fantastic novella, and I loved it. And the last book on my list, last favorite book of 2021, is The Mad Ship by Robin Hobb. The middle book, the second book in the trilogy that I finished in 3 weeks. I read each of the books in this trilogy in the span of 1 month, and they are like almost 1,000 pages each. So that already should tell you that I friggin' adored this series, but The Mad Ship was the definite standout for me. It had the best pacing, best characterization, highest stakes in my opinion, and it didn't falter. And also there weren't any out of character moments that happened in, or rather, I wouldn't say out of character moment. It wasn't out of character, it was just very unfortunate and unneeded character actions happened in the last book. So, you know, this was the high point of the trilogy, which I loved, but still, high point. And there you have it. Those were all of my favorite reads of 2021. It was a little bit of a slim pickings year in 2021, but, you know, hopefully next year there will be more great books that I can gush about. And tell me in the comments, have you read any of these books? Are you interested in picking any of them up? And tell me, what were some of your favorite books of 2021? They don't have to be the same as mine. I'm just interested to know what you considered to be a favorite. And if you got this far, leave me a star emoji down in the comments so that I know that you were here. And I will see you in the next one very soon. Bye bye!